people in a 2D environment, but good to be back in 3D. How many of you are here for the first time? Just checking. Oh my goodness. This is all of you first timers for this conference, is that right? Most of you? How many have been there before? Smaller crowd, I guess. Okay, I saw same hands going up again. Cool. So what I'll do for the next 30 to 40 minutes is take you on a short journey in terms of what tech is doing for all of us in the current times and the power it holds to transform the world going forward. Yeah, so as I said, it's a story. So I want to start with probably, I have a few demos by the way. When we come for conferences, we all start for internet access, right? And many times we carry the dongles, and of course things have not changed in the last, I would say, 7 to 8 years. We're still with 4G, and 5G is around the corner. All of us want 5G, right? Yeah, so I have a few demos which I actually recorded yesterday night, so that if there's an issue with internet, I should still play them. I should still show it to you, but I'll probably attend the trick. Yeah, so let me see if internet holds good. I'll start the demo itself directly. How about that? You guys are good? Yeah, awesome. Let's do that. Switch to my desktop, and I think when we heard the speaker this morning, I think when we said, is 19 years and how good this conference is, I thought when I was listening to him, let me ask a question to the OpenAI bot. How many of you know OpenAI, GPT-3? Yeah, except my colleagues from Microsoft. Wonderful. Let's do this. Yeah, very passionately, we're putting a hand up. Let's do this. So I thought, let me ask that question. I'm going to just zoom in a bit. By the way, this is OpenAI's Q&A maker. Yeah, so Q&A, I'm just asking, do you know about OpenSource Conf 2020 in Bangalore? Yeah, so let me see what happens. Yeah, it says I'm not familiar. Let me ask once again. Okay, this is supposed to be a good response coming out for us. There you go. Yeah, it says, yes, I'm familiar with OpenSource Conf 2020 in Bangalore. Let me ask, what is so cool about this conference? Yeah, wonderful. It comes back with a response, right? Open technologies. By the way, this is a random bot, and right. So how does it know what's happening here in the city? Very context aware. That's the true power of OpenAI. We'll get back to that generative AI in a bit. But I thought let me start with this demo just to see if my demos work. By the way, right? So there's a great test. Okay, let's get going. The future is here. That's something which I personally believe in terms of how technology will have a profound impact in the society, right? Now, if you look at, yes, this conference is happening. If you look at the agenda itself, I was intrigued in terms of so much of cool stuff has happened in the last 2 years. Of course, we didn't take note of it when you attend a virtual conference. You come in person, you look at the agenda. It's actually, it's a killer agenda. Now, tech is on a fast track, right? This is what happens to all of us in the tech industry. In fact, when conferences happen, for example, next week, 2 weeks from now is Microsoft Ignite 2022 conference. It's a conference where we focus on cool stuff, cool tech to be announced, considering PDMs and BDMs in mind. Now, when that happens, by the way, there'll be hundreds of announcements, so you become outdated overnight. Whatever skills, whatever know-how you have in the industry, you have to get back in the learning trail and start understanding how that will influence a business going forward, right? So we're on a fast track as we speak. But of course, end of the day, everything we're building right now, program. How many of us look at the click works? I think it has a range. Yeah. Okay, so when you look at building a software, how many of you look at keeping in mind multi-device, multi-sense, right? When I say multi-sense, cognitive. Now, we never build keeping in mind an individual's location independence and form factor independence, right? We always talk about, hey, we use, let's say, React, etc. So it's adaptive, and we worry less about, hey, how do they get perceived in the form factor that they're using? They might be using, let's say, VR headgear, or a mobile phone, or a laptop, or a tablet. Doesn't matter, but even your experience matters, right? So we are entering an era which we call it as ubiquitous computing and decentralized computing. All that means computing power at the edge is only getting better with each passing day. If you look at IoT, right, that's a fascinating time for right now, because all these days we thought edge computing is a science project. Not anymore, right? Science, I would say a science project, platform provider, the question is not, hey, what is Microsoft offering? No, what is Microsoft offering which matters most to business in terms of what they want to build, right? So it's a classic, I would say, amalgamation of both coming together, and that's important, right? You might be, you might be just taking let's say an open source code and probably making it better in GitHub, but why are you doing it, right? To probably make your contribution to make the world better in terms of somebody will use it, which will benefit them, right? But look, today there are a ton of programming languages, right? If you look at the screen right now, it's a choice, right? Any of you can shout out which is the most powerful programming language today? Okay, yeah. So keep this in mind: choice versus energy efficiency. Yeah, which is the most energy efficient programming language out there? Wonderful. This is interesting. Nobody said Rust. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, in terms of memory safety, C slightly takes a back seat. In terms of memory safety and performance speed, Rust, right? So you have choice. The point is that you have a choice for sure. The world is looking at, hey, how can we choose a language and ensure that we build software with utmost focus on energy efficiency? That means, there is design thinking called green software. We'll get to that. But the question is, when you're writing a program, can you understand what will be the carbon emissions because running that on a virtual machine which is consuming X amount of horsepower memory CPU? We never do that, right? We have to get there. For us to literally look at making this world a better place, green software becomes central, and we'll talk about it in the end. Okay? Now, I don't know why I came this side. So I think this is our safe zone for clicker. Yeah. Cool, let's look at this. Now, this is what as Microsoft we announced at Build Conference 3 months back, saying, hey, these are the top 10 technologies which will help us build what next. Yeah. So if you always look at, I want to build something very meaningful with utmost focus on experience. These are the top 10. By the way, there's nothing to do with Microsoft you look at. It's all, I would say agnostic, thematic, right from your developer flow till metaverse. They're all here and now. Some of it is futuristic for sure, but most of what you want to build for today and tomorrow, they're arriving and arrived, right? So I've picked about 5 themes from this, right? I'm not going to go from 1 to 10, but randomly I've picked up 5 things which probably matters most to a developer today. And I'm sure all of you here are developers, yeah? How many are not developers here? No, come on. You have to be a developer. You think you might be an architect. Trust me, Satya Nadella, our CEO, is, he's the most, I would say, the personal developer mindset, that's him. My point when I say developer, you don't have to be coding, by the way. If you're a tech enthusiast and you think about program code, you're a developer, right? I mean, I'm not redefining developer definition, by the way. I'm just saying, people are here, you hear in the conference, you'll see a lot of code, a lot of cool tech, but yes, developer mindset is important for us to survive in this modern world, yeah? Let's look at number 1, developer flow. So I have a few demos. As I said, it gets interesting as you go along, but let's look at, as a developer, how do we make sure you're productive? How do we make sure you get an environment where you're super productive and the focus is location independence, right? We never thought about empowering developers and help them code from wherever they are, right? That was not the thought before pandemic. Last 24 months has taught us a lot of lessons, right? You find opportunity and adversity. That's what has happened to the world of tech also. Now, if you look at, as a developer, you have an idea, right? You basically look at how do you convert the idea to code, right? And you take it to the cloud because you have to serve the world. And the important thing is when I say serve the world can be anywhere. That means it can be the edge, it can be in other cloud, it can be in your private data center, doesn't matter, but code has to be ubiquitous, right? So that means we only spoke about adaptive nature of a program. That means depending on the form factor of choice, it's adaptive. But look, today we are entering a world where mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality, metaverse is becoming a reality, right? In that context, the code you write has to morph itself into the construct of an end user, right? GitHub, this is where the OSS world lives, yeah? I'm sure all of you have your GitHub IDs. I mean, I'm not saying GitHub IDs, but I'm saying all of you are, when you're open source developer, I'm sure you're there and contributing, building code, etc. Yeah? Okay, cool. So now let's look at this, right? So GitHub Codebase, this is an interesting one because we spoke location independence. How do we ensure that we give that developer environment irrespective of where the developer is and irrespective of what form factor they're using? They might be using a laptop. It can be dumb terminal with which is browser, doesn't matter, but they can absolutely get access to a code space, right? Again, we announced DevBox. Right? This is a critical one because, so look, if you work for an organization and they've given you an environment where you can stay productive, But guess what happened last 24 months? You went wherever you basically you're supposed to be that point of time, and you still had to roam with your, I would say, the post-productive environment. That's where DevBoxes comes in handy. So as a developer, as an IT admin, as a project manager, architect, doesn't matter, whichever persona you basically would take that on your project, you have an environment, right? That's what DevBox are. That's something which is a very cool thing in the cloud. It just takes a couple of clicks to spin off, and boom, there you go, and you have an environment to code, right? Now, I think the most popular one in the recent past where people have loved, hey, you know what, this is something so cool, I always wanted it, is GitHub Copilot. I'm not sure how many of you have tried Copilot. It's generally available, yeah, a couple of them. Wonderful. So now GitHub Copilot basically was generally made available on June 1st, and for students and qualified open source developers, it is free. Yeah. So just so that you know, the AI pair programmer, and in the world of agile environment or extreme programming, you always, in extreme programming, two brains work on a piece of code. One basically is a director who basically codes. Other is your co-pilot, right? That person always looks at your code, gives you feedback. That means you can spin off something, and boom, you can focus on business. I'll give a simple example. InMobi. All of you know InMobi? Yeah, they're an ad tech firm, right? Now, by the way, InMobi manages pretty much close to 1.153 billion mobile, I would say, endpoints. That means, you know, for example, let's say you go to some website and you're looking at a product, let's say shoes, Nike shoes, and next, you know, whichever website you go, you get Nike shoe ads, right? And that's the magic that InMobi does, right? In terms of making sure that they understand what you want and serve the right ads. Now, look, if they're talking about 1.3 billion mobile phones, each mobile phone, at least we do 10 events, right? That becomes 15 billion events every day. So they manage actually for 45 to 50 billion events every single day, and you can't afford to spin up a virtual machine to do that. So this is where they embrace cloud native. That means they're assured that you have the right SLAs, availability, DR, etc., and you focus on your business, right? So cloud native becomes dominantly a theme for everybody to look at how fast they can go to market, right? GTM is important. Now, look, when you say cloud native, these are, when it comes to world of architecture, we talk about serverless, containers, microservice APIs. I think we're right now living in the economy of API. Look what happened to, let's say, if you look at Paytm, if you look at Tata Neo, right? All those applications which are getting built, they're called what? Super apps, right? Now, super app is a design thinking, which basically is a classic amalgamation of all APIs, giving you one-stop shop for you to stay productive on what you want to do. Even for that matter, if you look at Paytm itself, you can, grocery shopping also can happen on a Paytm, right? Right from paying the bills to the fast tag to making payment to grocery shopping. So right now, if you're looking at building something, the world is moving towards microservices architecture pattern, right? So now the question is, when you're on that rail, do you want to think about the backbone of your company environment? No, you don't want to think about that. You just want that to be managed by somebody, and that's where the container apps is what finances Microsoft. So you see, look, I'm not saying everything that you build right now. Now in the world of architecture, when you say microservices, it doesn't mean containers, by the way. You can still have microservices and not have containers, correct? Yeah, so you can, that's basically your choice. Eventually when you're scaling, you want multi-endpoint deployment, and you want to stay agnostic of your end compute environment, you package it in a container, right? The best part today is, doesn't matter whether it's a watch or a mobile phone or a small Raspberry Pi or a Jetson Nano, you can deploy containers on that. That's the true power of where technology is heading today, right? Perfect. Can this also come back? Yeah. Now, this available, by the way, so that means for you to basically Dockerize it and deploy it, you don't have to think twice, right? You can use container apps, and if you design the application to be a microservice, container apps will help you just move faster. Okay. Now, edge infrastructure, right? Edge is a new cloud. Why do we say that? Look, in the next 4 years, this is what Gartner said, and this is what our CEO Satya said in one of the conferences, saying, in the next 4 years, there will be 6-fold increase in number of, I would say, compute will move from cloud to edge, 6-fold by 2025. We'll also see probably some points going from cloud consumption, but the fact of the matter is, thanks to 5G, by the way, 5G is making AI inferencing at the edge a reality. When AI inferencing becomes a reality, that means your infrastructure is slowly moving towards edge. You don't take data to the cloud, take compute to where data exists today, right? That's a true philosophy behind big data, right? You take query to data, not data to query, right? So in that context, edge absolutely is becoming an essential component. By the way, look, so if you walk into, let's say, a hospital or retail store, now they can absolutely look at footfall tracking, right? Where are people going? What are they doing? Safety, a manufacturing plant. All the stuff is the power of computer vision. I'll give a simple example. One of a partner called StackU, right? You can look up STAQU, StackU. They actually build a lot of these computer vision models. Yeah. So reality here. Now they're working with about 12 to 14 state police departments and building solutions where computer vision can be used to solve a lot of crimes and tracking, etc. Now, the true power of those models is when you run the edge, right? The use case was, hey, one of the prison cells, after dark, basically, something gets thrown from outside, something gets thrown from inside to outside. So money from inside, drugs from outside. Yeah, so they want to track that. A computer vision model, night vision camera being put there, edge inferencing happening in that particular jail premises where the moment something goes past, they track it. Right? I mean, you have to do that in a split second. You can't take seconds to send the data to the cloud. You can't send video files to the cloud. It doesn't make practical sense, right? So edge is absolutely become a reality. Now, of course, with Microsoft, we have our own suite of hardware products which will help you do edge computing wherever you want to. For example, if you look at the Azure Stack Edge Pro, that can go into a rack in a retail store. Or if you look at, let's say, armed forces, this is something interesting. So you have a ruggedized series of the Azure Stack Edge device. By the way, they're all NVIDIA Tesla T4 missions. Okay. Now, a computer in a backpack. Imagine a soldier is flying a drone at the border and you want to understand what's happening because humanly impossible to see it. So can a compute info right away? Absolutely. In the backpack, you power 8 hours battery pack. You can put it in the backpack and you can fly a drone and it does inferencing. That's the true power of edge inferencing today. Yeah. Hybrid AI. This is basically a new design thinking we announced at Build Conference, right? Heterogeneous targeting. That's a new term. That means you build a program once, and depending on where the program should run for the best performance, you choose that environment, right? Let's look at this. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard of NPU. None of our machines have NPUs, right? We have GPUs and CPUs. Do you have NPUs in the machines? No, I'm saying separate. You have a GPU also, separate NPUs. For example, don't look at TPUs and those things. I'm generally saying any machine that we have today, right? We basically have CPUs and GPUs, right? I mean, NVIDIA basically graphic cards, etc. The question is neural processing unit. That's probably the new thinking that's going to come in. The reason why this is required is, let's look at this visual. Now, there is a video that you're supposed to play, right? Or process. You're supposed to basically infer on this video. Now, you decide, hey, depending on what is that model, is a deep learning model, of course, we by default choose GPU now. If a neural network model, can I hand off the task to NPU, whereas regular application run on CPU and GPU, right? That's heterogeneity in its sense, right, at the edge. Now, this is something which is true when it comes to machine learning models. Now, look, if you look at, you might build a model in, let's say, TensorFlow, a Caffe, MXNet, etc., but eventually they have to interoperate. So, as Microsoft, one of the consortium member on Open Neural Network Exchange runtime, right? That means you build the model once, you can open and run anywhere else. But this is basically called the hybrid loop development pattern, right? See, these are all new paradigms coming into perspective because the edge is going to blow up big time, and the choice of hardware is only getting interesting from with each passing day, right? Now, when I say edge, so there's a term called leaf nodes, right? For example, you might have hundreds of sensors in this room, right? And not every sensor will have cloud connectivity. We'll have probably a gateway, right? Let's say this conference, and you have 25 cameras here. Now you want to do inferencing, right? And you want to send after inference data to the cloud. And not all 25 cameras will connect to the cloud. They all connect to the edge environment, right? We basically have an edge infrastructure, edge gateway to the cloud. But not, and again, the best decision that anybody makes today architecturally is, yes, I want to manage that edge infrastructure via Kubernetes, right? Because it's easy for us to kind of build a program, package and contain and deploy it. But not every compute will have the capability to host a container. Make sense? Right? Because you will have very, very minuscule compute, very powerful in terms of inferencing, but they can't do much. For example, a moisture sensor or a humidity or temperature sensor, right? Now, this is an open source project called Acri. By the way, Acri is in Greek, stands for edge. Yeah, Kubernetes resource interface for edge. So if you want to make sure you want all of these edge leaf nodes to be part of a Kubernetes edge cluster, Acri does it for you. So I would encourage you to check out this project. It's a very interesting one in terms of how, if in the world of IoT, Acri will come to rescue in terms of making sure everything comes under Kubernetes cluster. Okay. I love this, generative AI, right? The stat says, if you look at right now, less than 1% of world's data is generated by AI. Okay? By 2025, it will reach 15%, right? That means there'll be intelligent systems generating is where the machines not only become smarter, but they also will have cognitive skills as we go. That's the time we can say the true robot we saw in that movie Robot may become a reality in terms of, yes, machines can behave like human beings, and we're seeing that to be 30, 40 years down the line, not now, by the way. AI is not there yet. Yeah. So if you want to see evidence of what is AGI, that is GPT-3, right? GPT-3, as you should know, is trained on 1 billion parameters. It's a very powerful NLP, right? And in fact, when it was launched, GPT-3 was made to write a Guardian article. It wrote a beautiful article, right? And given author's name, you give the vocabulary in terms of what vocabulary you want, it can actually write a novel for you. It's that powerful, right? And of course, it doesn't end there. As Microsoft is working with NVIDIA and partnering with them to build the next big one, which is called Megatron, and that will be on 530 billion parameters. Imagine the OpenAI GPT is so powerful, and if that capability multiplies, I think that's the best. It's the acme of innovation in my view in that context. Now, if you look at GPT, there are 4 models: Ada, Babbage, Da Vinci, and Curie. Right? Each of them comes with own capability. Okay, in terms of what these models can do. There's another model called DALL-E. DALL-E is basically converts your NLP into visual expression, right? Images. Which is why when we say AI will start generating content, we'll see a quick demo how that is a reality. But these are the 4 models that's available right now. By the way, as Microsoft, we have partnered with OpenAI and we've licensed usage of OpenAI in our products in the first place, right? And then offering them as cognitive APIs under Azure OpenAI service. How are we different? Yes, we bring in enterprise security, responsible AI, and of course, RBAC controls into this OpenAI because they are very powerful, and again, these are pricey APIs. So much of effort has gone into building them. Yeah. Let's do this. Let me just switch to my desktop and let's look at a couple of demos here, just to make sure that we get it. I know we saw chatbot earlier, but let's look at this. Shall we see DALL-E first? So DALL-E basically is your AI system that can generate realistic images. Let's take a use case, by the way, right? Let's take a use case where, let's say Myntra. Anybody from Myntra here? Myntra, Flipkart, okay? Now, every time for any garment, let's take Myntra, a garment, there are thumbnails uploaded, right? And somebody is creating those graphic images, taking pictures and uploading them. But what if I want to generate variants of that, right? Let's take an example right here. I'm going to go to this DALL-E creating images. Bear with me, I'm going to scroll down a bit. There are some interesting demos, right? Let's look at this, right? Right now, I'm saying, let me zoom in a bit. A male mannequin dressed in a green and black striped button-down shirt and white sweatpants, right? That these images you have here. I want to quickly change this to, let's say, instead of white sweatpants, I'm going to just say brown sweatpants. Look, all pants became brown right now. New images, right? And if you look at it, let's look at make green as red. This is the true power of generative AI, by the way, right? I mean, one set of images is what you can create originally, and variants of it, AI can do that for you. Yeah, this is the power of DALL-E. Let's look at this, right? This is an example of text summarization, right? I've taken a simple, I'd say, text from one of the websites where they give reviews for all these products, and I put it here. If it says was a decent, good packaging. This is, by the way, lights. For Deepavali, we have lights, and this is with LED with the battery, and these are experience, right? By the way, people write reviews, but as let's say Myntra or Flipkart, I want to know what is the true sentiment of a particular text block. So I'm going to just, let's say, submit and see what happens. Yeah. So it's beautifully summarized for me saying, hey, this person got a light strip that is come to the remote, but remote didn't work. Right? I want a quick summary. So let's do that one more time in real. Let me just go to a website and pick up something interesting. Let's look at this, right? By the way, this is the light I'm talking about. There is a feedback here. Let me try to attempt this. Let's see if it works. Okay. Sometime, by the way, it's all OpenAI. So when I test it out, at times you get anomalies. So please bear with me if it doesn't make sense. Nobody to be blamed here because it's all happening in real time. I think the same one. Let me pick up another one. Okay. Let's take this. Let's take this and see what happens. I'm writing this review of blah, blah, blah. All right. Yeah. So when you want to sentiment on a text, you should do on this text, which is beautifully summarized in terms of what are the true essence of that particular stuff. Let's take call center. India is a call center nation, right? So you have call log analytics. Now, a 10-minute conversation will runs into pages. Can GPT-3 give you a short summary as to what transpired in the call? Absolutely. Yeah. So let's move forward. By the way, I've actually recorded these, demos as videos, but I'm going to just move forward. Yeah. Interesting demo. Interesting ones in terms of how content gets generated. Are you guys not feeling good about this one in terms of what it can do? Yeah. Or is it the morning zone? No. Look, these are all. If you look at, by the way, the graphic artist may feel, wow, it's taking my job. No, it's not. Right? The graphic artist can do more, right, in terms of being more creative. But this is basically, if you want to quickly. By the way, choice can even end user. Forget creation. The end user can actually start playing around with what type of clothing they want. There's something for shop or look, right? You basically want shop or look. Let's say there are a lot of airport look pictures being posted. Can I shop whatever this person is wearing? And can I change the pattern in terms of the shoes color, the tie color, and the shirt color? Absolutely. That's really can happen. Okay. So just so that you know, the GitHub Copilot, right? When you say natural language generation, GitHub Copilot actually uses GPT-3 codex, right? So Copilot is a reality because GPT-3 codex has been trained on billions of lines of code in GitHub and elsewhere. So it knows what is the best code, most optimized code recommends. So GitHub Copilot is generating code for you. It's like generating content. So it's actually powered by GPT-3. Yeah. Moving forward. Okay. Confidential computing. How many of you understand this? Nobody? Yeah. So let's look at this. Now, all of us understand encryption, right? We talk about encrypt data at rest. Databases, we want nobody, when people pick up database, they should know what is in the database, so encrypt at rest, right? When people are making data being shown in the website, it's transport layer security, data is secure, so in transit you secure. What about data in use? You're doing some computation on the data. It's loaded in memory. In memory, is it secure? That's a question. So confidential computing helps you secure data in use. We'll take a real use case in terms of how it all happens. By the way, it's all a hardware innovation. AMD, NVIDIA, and Intel, we're working with them. In fact, the Intel and AMD mission went generally available last month, right, in terms of a confidential computing in the cloud. Let's look at a use case right away. It dominantly helps multi-party data sharing scenarios. So, give you an example, Apollo Hospital in India, they actually built something called Cardiovascular Disease Risk Score for India. You walk into Apollo, it's an AI model by the way, you walk into Apollo Hospital, get your vital checks done, give family history, and send that data to the model. Model will actually come back saying, hey, in the next 7 years, what is the likelihood of this person having a cardiovascular issue, right? It's a risk score. Now, that isn't trained on some thousands of data from Apollo alone. What if Fortis, Aster, all the hospitals contributed? They would not do it today because of data security. But regulator doesn't let them share data because of PI information. So they also don't want to share their own data, clinical records. Now, with confidential computing, yes, all three can actually push the data in the cloud in the most secure fashion. It's called secure enclave. Only the machine learning model algorithm is exposed to the data. The model gets trained, and the beneficiary will be all the hospitals involved. That means in their environment, nobody would have seen each other's data. Right? Only the model is exposed to the data, model gets trained, the beneficiaries will be these participants in this particular activity. That is essential. If you look at healthcare, government, and financial services. So, in fact, in BFSI world, when it comes to fraud detection, all banks have to handshake to understand which transaction is a fraudulent one. For that, you have to train your models with the large corpus of data that's out there. And multi-party consortium will get formed, and confidential computing is what will give the environment to basically make the reality. Yeah? In fact, Beekeeper AI, just check out this ISV in the US. Not many AI models will see day of the light, will not go to FDA approval. You have to prove it to authorities saying this has been trained in the most secure environment. So if you want to understand algorithm and its impact on the data, so Beekeeper kind of bridges both the algorithm developer as well as data provider together so that they can understand what the stats about the data, whether the data is noisy, data is good, what is the outcome of the data. It all happens in a very confidential environment. Okay? That's number 5. Moving to the next one, which is the last one, by the way. So far, so good, okay? Just checking? Or am I just speaking?
No, good.
Okay, thank you so much. Metaverse. I want one person to say what is metaverse. Just understand what is metaverse. Anybody? Yeah? Just shout out. It's a very silent audience here, which is good.
Virtual world.
Virtual world, okay. What else? Sorry? Okay, AR, VR. So, you guys think metaverse means AR, VR? Avatar person virtual world. Okay, that's basically implementation, right? Right. I mean that happens even in the current times, right? Look, if you're joining any virtual conference, which was synonymous to what you just said. So look, metaverse is, if you want to understand in simple terms, it's a shared virtual 3-dimensional space. That's about it. It's a shared experience. It's a virtual experience. It is 3-dimensional in nature, right? Otherwise, you can call all the stuff you're doing right now is all metaverse. No, it's not. It's 3D space. By the way, you should know this. Every single design element done today, every designer who's building software, they all are targeting what? Flat screen. Nobody designs outside the gaming, by the way. I'm talking about regular application development. They all build for flat screens now. They will move towards building for 3D space. That's the most challenging one, by the way. There's no boundary, right? It gets only creative. So metaverse is all about shared virtual 3D spaces, and it doesn't mean AR, VR because you can experience that. It's, by the way, metaverse is form factor agnostic. You can wear a head-mounted device, which is called HMD in short. You can wear a VR headgear or mixed reality headgear, right? When you wear HMDs, it will be immersive 3D experience. But you can still enter the metaverse on a laptops and tablets. It will be 2D experience. Yeah, but you can still participate. Yeah, so form factor is not a mandatory there. Of course, what will eventually matter in reality when it becomes available glass. Right? Right now, not many want to wear a head-mounted device. Okay, so where are we on that journey right now? If you look at evolution of metaverse, there's a point of view from Microsoft in terms of, yes, we are innovating on a platform, which I'll play a short video to give a glimpse of what is art of the possible as we go along. Now today, mixed reality. By the way, if you look at AR, VR, MR, the 3 terms. If you look at VR, it's a opaque. Let's say Oculus Quest, opaque, in nature. When you wear it, you don't see the physical world. That's VR. If you look at AR, you dominantly experience AR through mobile phones, right? If you look at Urban Ladder, Urban Ladder and Pepperfry, if you want to see a furniture, you see it with this particular phone, right? And you can place the furniture wherever, but if you can't interact with a virtual object. You have to interact on the phone, right? Whereas mixed reality, right? It's a perfect blend of physical world and virtual object. They coexist. You can interact with virtual objects directly. And the only device is HoloLens 2. That's from Microsoft, right? So AR, another term called XR, extended reality. That's about a term. Okay. Now, what is practically possible today is every customer. By the way, I can say this. The best part of my job at Microsoft is, by the way, I get to meet one customer every single day, and everything I've spoken so far is basically a reflection of what has worked for them, what is working for them, what's not worked for them also, right? Now, what is practically possible today is digital twins. Be it a retail customer, banking, financial customer, I would say bank less, but mostly retail, manufacturing, healthcare, building twins so that they can manage them irrespective of where they are, right? So, MR and digital twins reality today, going forward, shared immersive experience, that's metaverse. And finally, interoperability, because we move from physical spaces from one to other place, you need to do the same thing in virtual world. So, ability for you to go across multiple metaverses has to be practically possible. So, safety by design, regulatory compliance, privacy, all this stuff has to build into the metaverse. So, people say that 2030 is the time when metaverse will be reality. Believable, because you have to solve all of that in totality. Okay. So, when I say MR, right, I'll give you this is a video of a windmill farm, right? Somebody sitting at the comfort of their home, you see a piano on the bottom right, they're able to see the entire operation of their windmill. This is mixed reality. Okay, so that means it's all IoT powered. If you look at windmill blades, they all have IoT sensors. Now they're sending data in real time. You can choose a windmill, look at statistics. Of course, at times you also get an alert. It's not one-way communication; it's a duplicate communication, two ways. So you might get an alert. You want to choose a particular windmill, understand what has happened, and eventually take do a reset command on that. So you see that alert is coming right now. You can go zoom in, take a specific windmill, and you'll see stats for that particular windmill in terms of, hey, what has gone wrong? Looks like rotor speed has gone below threshold. Now, do you want to set a reset command? Absolutely. You can reset it from the comfort of your home, right? That's what, you know, question, hey, why do we need this? You could have done this in a tabular 2D screen. No, it's about human computer interaction. How do you elevate experience? That's what it's all about, right? It's a lot more easy for people to relate to it. Moving forward, by the way, that was cool, right? Mixed reality. How many of you, yeah? So, thank you. Which is why I asked the question. You guys did applaud, good stuff. Right, so look, we're moving from mixed reality, which is the individual experience, by the way. Everything you saw was one person's view. But Meta is all about shared three-dimensional virtual experience, right? So let me play one short video. And this is a classic manifestation of what is the world we're going to lead into going forward with the true power of technology, yeah? So let's play this video and go forward. And there's audio for this, by the way, if you can just play the audio.
Connection is a spark that gives our lives meaning. It drives us to seek out others who feel the same way.
Okay, why don't you open the data and we'll take a look together. Hang on, I need to go for me.
To find those who share our views, we offer different perspectives. Challenge us with new ways of seeing. Deepen our understanding. And enrich our lives.
So who are you in control? What's in?
Great things happen when we commit to something bigger than ourselves. The sense of collaboration and the feelings of connection it brings excites us.
We have 2 planes right now on the same trajectory.
As we put people first, technology fades into the background and feels like anything but.
Aisha, what do you think?
This changes the way we see the world, and in turn, changes the world we see.
These numbers are looking great, actually.
There's promising possibilities, and what we see and create next will stretch the imagination.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
A world without boundaries,
Good job. Much better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Excellent. Slowly bring
a world where technology enhances, not limits, humanity. With people front, center, and in the spotlight. The future is here, and here can be anywhere. Introducing Microsoft Mesh.
Yeah. So, thank you. Everything you saw in the video is absolutely real today, right? You might be wondering, hey, you saw the video, but look, this is a equivalent of the same windmill experience in the metaverse. It's shared. You can see colleagues next to you. You can interact with the windmill, take decisions. That's the future we're heading into. But actually in Bangalore, this is the proof of the pudding. We work with HCG, the oncology hospitals in India. We actually did a pilot in Bangalore. So they do something called virtual tumor board meetings, right? Every Tuesday morning, they take some of the most complicated cases and they discuss. And what they should do was 3D printing of some of the most complicated. So convert your MRI or a CT into 3D models and 3D print them for discussion. But of course, people who are virtually present, they can't see 3D model. We actually use mesh as examples to convert your MRI CT into 3D visualization in the metaverse where doctors could come on a same shared space, discuss the case in reality. That's one. I'll just play that. Second, of course, remote assist. We actually had a doctor in Bangalore, Dr. Vishal Rao, one of the top head and neck oncology surgeon in the country. He assisted a junior surgeon in Mysore to perform a surgery in the OT. I was in the OT in Mysore. I could say this for the fact that it was unbelievable experience for the doctor, because for them, the way actually the first incision was on his iPad. Dr. Vishal in Bangalore drew line on the patient's body on his iPad, visible on the patient's body for the person wearing HoloLens in Mysore. That's what the start of the surgery. Right? Let me just play this. Okay. This is Dr. Vishal looking at the 3D visualization of the head and neck oncology case. Right? So looking at the tumor, the right cheek is a tumor, red patch. And this is Dr. Vijay in Mysore connecting Dr. Vishal and actually, interacting while surgery is happening. Okay, he's on iPad by the way, and he's wearing HoloLens. So, thank you so much. This is basically what I want to kind of talk about. Everything what I said so far is all powered by Microsoft Cloud. And one last thing, Green Software, I mentioned earlier, right? Look at Green Software Foundation. If you have to look at how do I build the most meaningful code, that's important. And lastly, the most important in my view is, look at accessibility, right? We all talk about, building softwares which can be accessible to anybody, but you have to look at how do you build software, how do you engineer software so that more people can use it. Thank you so much, and it was a wonderful conference.